Hey, welcome to this week's at Ping. 3 questions again today. Let's hit it. First one, hello Ping. My question today is why do people choose a cable clutch over a hydraulic clutch? I prefer hydraulic myself, but for example, I've heard Eli prefers a cable clutch. Is it a certain feel they're trying to achieve, or is the cable better? Thanks, Dustin. Well, Dustin, the biggest thing is it's basically like having a more manual feel to it. So with a cable clutch, you're able to really modulate how much input you're giving with the clutch. When it's a hydraulic setup, you typically, and they've gotten much better. Early editions were very on-off, so you didn't have that feel. But even still today, the best ones, you're just not going to get that feel if you're somebody who kind of likes to really control the power delivery with the clutch. You're going to lose some of that when you go hydraulic. So I think it's just personal preference. And I think, like I said, as they've gotten better, more people have come around to the idea of a hydraulic clutch. There's certainly benefits to it. You don't have to adjust it ever. And like I said, the feel has gotten much, much better. So I think it's all just personal preference. And I would say probably the biggest area where guys prefer the cable is off the start. Because if you think about how you've got to really feed that and you're trying to keep the front end down, if you want to just barely pull that thing in just slightly to keep the front end down a little bit or whatever, that's much easier to do with a cable to just get that real slight actuation there than it is with the hydraulic. So that's the big reason. I think, like I said, as it improves, you're going to see fewer and fewer guys using the cable clutch or preferring it. Just kind of an old school feel. So thanks for the letter, buddy. Next one from Scott Pitavino. Probably got that wrong. Sorry, Scott. Says, good morning. First off, sorry I didn't do a video submission. Currently in the midst of a blizzard here in Massachusetts. My question is, why don't they use tuff blocks all around on the private practice and test tracks to help simulate actual race conditions? Seems to me it would make a huge difference in helping to mimic an actual supercross track. Thanks for taking the time. You're truly appreciated. Well, Scott, I think there's a handful of reasons. One, you've probably seen watching the races, tuff blocks very often kind of reach out and grab riders and they'll actually cause them to crash. You know, they were trying to go away from hay bales, which look a little state fair-ish, and also don't move when you hit them, and were causing riders to get hurt. I can vouch for that. I landed on one and broke my femur because it didn't move. Or a tuff block would at least give, and I would have had a chance to roll out of it. And oftentimes you'll see them crash and land on the tuff blocks, which is nice padded landing. But from a practice track standpoint, like if you're going through a set of whoops at the very edge and you get squirrely, you can kind of dart off the side of the track and ride out of it. You line that with tuff blocks, now you're hitting tuff blocks and crashing. Out here in California, we get crazy wind, and I gotta believe that those tuff blocks would blow out into the track, and you probably show up some mornings, they'd be blown up against the chain link fence and onto one side. Watering the track would wear them out. They're expensive. Every time they go to re-groom and prep the track, they'd have to move them out, do the prep work, then put them back on. It's just a pain in the ass probably more than anything. So I think there's a lot of little reasons, and I think that of all the things that these riders are trying to adapt to, tuff blocks being there probably not real high on their list of priorities. So that's my thoughts anyway. All right, last one coming from a guy named Michael. It says, hey Ping, thoughts on an idea to deal with excessive lapped riders in Supercross. In American-style criterium bike racing, there are rules in place to keep riders out of contention from affecting the outcome of the race. Once riders are deemed out of contention, they're simply removed or pulled from the race. Bicycle racers, like Supercross riders, have timing chips, so they're still given an official finishing position. For instance, if they were pulled later than other riders, they are placed higher in the results. Why not in Supercross? Perhaps once a rider is 1 lap down or 2 laps down. At the finish line, the flagger could simply wave a flag that says you're being pulled, like a black flag or something like that. Then the rider could receive the results of what position they were in at the time of crossing the line. Late in the race, this could be huge as far as opening up the track for leaders when it really matters late in the race. Longtime fan of the sport, and I think it's time to think outside the box for ideas to make racing safer and more enjoyable to watch. Michael. Okay, a couple things. I do really like this idea. I love it. But I think it's definitely worth having a discussion about, and here's why. I think 2 laps down is better than one. 1 lap down, you could have a guy, a leader, a championship contender, break apart on a bike, get a flat early on, and he pulls in to do a wheel change. He might go a lap down. He's going to go a lap down, but he might not be 2 down, and he could still get back, hunt down some points, and get a top 10. I mean, that could be championship, saving in some instances. So I think saying 1 lap down, that's easy. I mean, there's a lot of good riders with a crash or a mechanical could go a lap down, and then that really takes some points out of their hand, potentially. 2 laps down, I agree. We got guys out there just cruising around, circulating. Get them the hell off the track. They got no business out there. But I will say this. Think about some races we've had where, and I can't remember what round it was off the top of my head, but last year when Ken Roxon was leading, Cooper Webb's in second, they lapped Dean Wilson. It bunches up. He bumps into the back of Dean, and it ends up letting him get close. Cooper gets by. It was a crazy, exciting finish. Now, if you're a Ken Roxon fan, you're like, that was a bunch of BS. Dino needs to get out of the way, black flight, whatever, If you're a Webb fan, of course, you loved it. And if you're just a fan of good racing, I mean, even still, I was like, that was exciting, So on the one hand, I think it would be more fair to the guy in the lead to get everybody out of his way and let him race to the finish clean. But it also does create some good racing sometimes. So I don't know. I'm a little torn on that, but I do think, I don't know exactly how you would do this, but guys who aren't giving it their best effort out there, they're just literally cruising around, rolling the jumps. Get out of there. What are you doing? You made your $1,000 for making the main. Now head to the pits. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of that. This idea. You for it? You against it? What do you think? Do you have any other thoughts? Drop them in the comments below, and let's have some respectful dialogue about it. But I think it's certainly something we could discuss and pass along to the powers that be so that they can likely do nothing with it. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week for more at Ping.